That's right. Well, happy Memorial Day weekend. How about that? This holiday, just to give you a little brief bit of history about it, began on May 30th, 1868. That was 3 years after the end of the Civil War. And it was called Decoration Day. And it was a spontaneous event throughout the land, not necessarily on that particular day, but people wanted to recognize the lives that were lost in that horrible battle of the Civil War. And over the years, of course, there have been more battles and more deaths and more soldiers fighting for the liberty that we have today. And so it became a national holiday not until 1971. It surprised me that it was, to me, that recent. And so it's also the official beginning of summer. And so, but before you do all of the picnics and all of the things that we're going to be doing and celebrating this weekend, which is halfway gone now, I guess, take time to remember and honor all those beautiful souls that gave us this holiday, that gave us, through their efforts, freedom. For they say that freedom isn't free. So just take a moment, whenever you can, to acknowledge that. So our theme this month has been living in the fourth dimension. And it's based a lot on John Randolph Price's book, Practical Spirituality. Today's topic is practicing the presence. And Joel wrote, "When God meets you on the spiritual level of consciousness, it's the real thing." And he capitalized those two letters, R and E, real thing. R and T, what am I thinking? Real thing. The effect, in quotes, is lasting. The fulfillment is joyous, and there is the constant emotion of gratitude. I know there is nothing more important in my life now than realizing totally and completely the presence of God. Truly, that is the secret of life and the key to mastery. After he wrote that in the book, he gave a laundry list of a few realizations along the way. And I want to share these with you because I think each one of them is so poignant. And I'm not going to just run them through the mill because they are, each of them is really a full meal in and of itself. And so I'm going to give us time to assimilate them and talk about them as they get presented. The very first one is, I and the Father are one. That is true in absolute, but is not true in your experience until you realize it. It's not true in your experience until you realize it, meaning until you absolutely know it from the bottom of your heart, that I and the Father are one. First theme, oneness, unity. Second one, prayer is not trying to get God to do something. It is becoming aware of the presence within you. We're not begging, we're not pleading, we're not reaching out there somewhere to this power that is going to be benevolent to us. Because the power is within us. And the purpose of prayer is to recognize the reality of that presence within us. The Father has already given you the kingdom. When you love enough, the kingdom radiates out. Wow. We are in the kingdom. The kingdom is fully present within us. And when we recognize it, that love that is within us spills out. It can't help but do that. You see, so these are the effects, the results of how our life can be when we recognize that the Father and I are one, that there is only one power and presence. Abundance is already yours. The life force and the energy of supply are the same. The life force and the energy of supply are the same. Recognize your source and let the supply flow forth. Do you feel that fullness within? It's not grabbing for something out here. Disease and illnesses are effects. Withhold judgment and let the presence, capital P, correct the appearance. We are whole, we are complete, and disease and illness are effects. They are appearances. They are not reality with an R. They will change. Your Christ self is doing everything for you now. Relax. The Christ self is doing everything for you now. So relax. This reminds me, we've been reading Michael Singer's The Surrender Experiment, and how much he continues to surrender to whatever life presents him. Sometimes he does not agree with it initially at all, but when he stops and remembers his agreement that I will do whatever life presents to me, he's found time and time again, and we're not finished with the book. We got a lot more to go. There's going to be a lot more revelations, guys, that you'll find out about. But that's the same thing, that your Christ self is doing everything. Wow, just relax and, as many have said, go with the flow of it. You don't own anything. Everything is an expression and extension of the presence within you. We came into this life with nothing. We will leave this life with no thing. So we don't own anything. It's not ours. We are part of this whole that is expressing itself as life, everything. In our prayer earlier this morning, I was uniting with everything, nothing left out. And my brain had this little flash, even those squirrels that have somehow decided and discovered that my rose bushes are delicious. So, I am one with the squirrels, and I'm going to find a way to deviate them to another opportunity of feasting other than my roses. Anyway, let me go on. Thank goodness the roots are still good, because they're in pots. So they'll come back, but oh my goodness, if you look at them, they are just a shambles. It's cuckoo. Anyway, I digress. Whatever you resist, you give energy to. Oh, don't resist the squirrels. Okay. Pull the plug on its power, and it goes out of your experience. You see, this is why I'm giving these talks, because I need to learn this stuff. Let go of the power of it, and it goes out of your experience. Don't resist, because you're just giving it energy. If you believe in good and evil, you will experience it, because it is in your consciousness. When you realize omnipotence, one power, then only the power of good is at work in your life. Only the power of good is at work in my life. Don't put your faith in anything visible. Wow. Place your faith only in the invisible presence and power within you. That's where our strength is. That's where our source is. If you don't need to tell you don't need to tell anyone how spiritual you are. Your health, harmony, peace, joy, and fulfillment are in direct proportion to the level of your spirituality. Your health, harmony, and peace and joy, fulfillment are in direct proportion to the level of your spirituality. We've talked about this before, that there are levels of our recognition of our spirituality. From immaturity, which is the victim level, life is happening to me, and then we move up the ladder to the manifester, knowing that if I do my visualizations and affirmations, that I can draw the power of law and cause and effect comes to me. And then we move up even further into that as the channel, as allowing this source to move through us, the source of love and of power and of peace. And then finally, as me, that there is totally no separation. And so sometimes as we're moving up that ladder of spirituality, we need to do those steps that get us there. And so that means if you're planning a move and you want to have an idea in your mind, your will of what it is you would like, go ahead and make that list. Go ahead and say what it is you want to have experienced in your life, this or something better. And know that at the right time, at the right divine timing, it'll show up for you. That only good, only love is here within you, proceeding to guide you along the way. We've been seeing that with Michael Singer. No doubt about it. You are not to live a passive life. That's important. You're not to live a passive life. We're not here to sit on a mountain and ohm and think that that's the most highly spiritual thing that we can do. It reminds me, because we have a will. That's part of what we're here to express, is that higher self that comes through us at every moment. And it reminds me, I was reminded of a song that Lorna Bright wrote. The choices that we make are the way that we create the life that we experience day by day. The choices that we make are the way that we create the life that we experience day by day. That's what it's about. Every moment we have a choice. The only problem you have is the belief in separation from your source. He also said in another area, he said that's the only fear that we really have, is our fear of our separation from our source. And that is an untruth. We can never be separated from our source because we are it. It is us. Oh, this is a good one. Before looking for new truths, put into practice those you already know. That's what we're talking about today, is putting into practice what we already know. What do we already know? That perfection, that presence is within us. It's invisible. It has a still small voice. So how do we commune with it? To go within. We have to quiet our minds. We have to close our eyes and ears to what's happening in the physical form around us and go within and allow that divine energy to be our friend, to be our guide. But we have to do it. Oh, yeah, here we come to some. Everyone in your life is there by the law of attraction. They are there to help you experience yourself. I'm going to include everything too as those squirrels. I keep looking for the wonderful divine positive thing in the squirrels. They are cute, I will say that. But everything, everyone is there to help us experience ourselves. If you feel a negative emotion about a personality characteristic in another person, chances are you have that same flaw of consciousness. Otherwise, you could not see it in others. If we are truly, wholeheartedly, 1,000% and beyond love and expression, that is what we're going to be seeing with those eyes of love. So I wonder how many of you, after listening, that were 14 different items there, after listening to that laundry list, how many of you, and hearing them, your initial response was, I knew that. I knew that. I knew that. Let me go back to number 14. Oh, that was 16 in total. 14 was, before looking at news truths, practice those you already know. If you already know those things, then practice them. That's what we're talking about today. Stephen R. Covey wrote, anything less than a conscious commitment to the important, anything less than a conscious commitment to the important, that's what we're talking about, right? Is an unconscious commitment to the unimportant. So if we aren't making the conscious commitment to the important, what we're making is an unconscious commitment to the unimportant. Let's know our priorities. So we're here today to practice the presence. How do we do that? We make a conscious commitment to do it, right? And what does that mean? I wrote it in the thought for the week. It means just not getting up in the morning and doing a little bit of reading and maybe throwing a prayer out there. It takes hourly remembering that I am the source of my being, that it is within me. And every decision that comes up, every response that I have, let it flow through me. I believe, so that's a conscious commitment to an important thing. I believe the second thing that we can do to practice the presence is to let go of all fear. Let go of any thought of separation. Let go of any thought of duality. If we believe in good and evil, that's what's going to come up in our lives. If we can just stay tuned to the one source and the one power that is, we let go of fear. Fear is the only thing that separates us. And of course, the third one, which I say time and again, is to go into the silence so that we can commune and we can feel the warmth, the love, the nourishment of what this source is inside of us. See, practicing the presence is feeling it at the core depths of our being. And that ferrets out all the fear. It ferrets out all the disharmony. He had a whole segment in the book, Price did, about 3 words: of, as, and is. My consciousness of God as my supply is my supply. My consciousness of God as my supply is my supply. My consciousness of God as my health is my health. My consciousness of God as my perfect relationship is my perfect relationship. There is only one. Recognizing that those 3 words, of, as, and is the same as cause and effect are one and the same. There's no duality here. Cause and effect show up as oneness. I want you to remember that you are an infinite being and that you are going to change, you're going to evolve, you're going to grow, you're going to recognize more and more when you go about your Father's business of going within, of being familiar, of allowing yourself to be used by this power that wants to give you just heaven on earth. And so we're here to let go of the restraints. That's all it is just letting go, letting it be. I love the one that he said, your Christ self is doing everything for you now. Just relax. Breathe. In Genesis, when the creation was being described, and how did God create everything? Let there be. Let there be. This life does not have to be hard. It doesn't have to be full of pitfalls. We are here to let this love that is in and through everything flow out from us unheeded, to just let this love be our guide in everything in life. So get ready for some wonderful, beautiful changes in life that will support you. And know it each and every day that this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Namaste.